The forests of Montenegro are its national treasure. More than half the country is covered by forests and forest land, and directly or indirectly, all the citizens of this ecological state are connected to this natural resource. The forest ecosystems are very important to all sectors of life and the economy. They're significant producers of biomass, a source of healthy and high-quality forest fruit, a major habitat for game, a key factor in conservation and regulation of the water system. They ensure protection from erosion and purify the air, and are likewise the backbone of the local economy.
U prošlosti šume su većinom njihova namjena je bila za proizvodnju drveta I za podršku drvnoj industriji.
In the past, the forests were used for wood production and provided support to the timber industry. Now they have a very important role in protecting nature, as well as promoting recreation, tourism, and improving the quality of life. They also offer many opportunities for development in rural areas, where forests can be the foundation for economic activities of the population. That is why citizens of Montenegro have to be informed about the ongoing work of the state in utilizing this resource wisely. A number of Montenegrins have already shown an interest in this and have actively participated in the development of an umbrella document which will develop the forestry sector in the country, the National Forest Policy.
Crna Gora na tom putu se već nalazi.
Montenegro is already moving in that direction, and through the implementation of numerous projects, it's strengthening its institutional sector. Thus, it will create an economic and legal foundation that will enable companies to achieve better results and at the same time upgrade the existing condition of the forests. The process of developing a national forest policy started in April 2006, when a memorandum of cooperation was signed between the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Water Management and SNV, the Dutch development organization.
A very, very crucial element of the National Forest Policy is the fact that it is for the first time is bringing together stakeholders at different levels. So we have a horizontal level of stakeholders going together in the management of the national forests.
This was followed by a first round of workshops where key issues to be addressed by that document were defined. In 2007, the Forestry Development in Montenegro project, known as FODEMO, second phase, started. Funded by the government of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, it supported the efforts of the Ministry and SNV in intensifying activities on drafting the forest policy.
Many people use and benefit from state forests. The policy tries to find a balance between the larger scale industries, the small to medium scale enterprises, and the important uses that local communities make of state-owned forests.
Bearing in mind the complexity of issues tackled by this document, the following technical working groups were set up. Working Group for the Development of an Institutional and Legal Framework. The Working Group for Forests, Sustainable Development and Protection. The Working Group for the Timber Industry, Licensing and Marketing of Forest Products. Working Group for Education, Training, Research and International Cooperation. The Working Group for Communication and Information. The Working Group for Government Forest Management. The Working Group for Private Forest Management. In addition, the National Forest Policy Steering Committee was established, in charge of managing the policy formulation and monitoring the implementation process. Also set up was the National Forest Policy Secretariat, in charge of providing logistic support to the Steering Committee and all the working groups, and ensuring regular and efficient communication between all the stakeholders. The National Forest Policy is important to the Forest Administration because of its long-term character, and because we're determined to do everything we can to make this document sustainable. At thematic workshops, the participants expressed their opinions on the key issues the policy should address. I expect our voice to be heard. I also expect education to be available for the private forest owners. Moreover, they need to be made aware of their rights and legal and other obligations. Within this process, the United Nations Development Programme has made a major contribution in the Working Group for Communication and Information. Essentially, all our inputs were related to transparency of information, transparency in the decision-making process, and information on monitoring within forestry. The group defined a vision of Montenegrin forests from a sustainable development point of view, a vision that Montenegrin forests should be administered and managed in a sustainable manner. This takes into consideration the three principles of sustainable development: the economic principle, the social principle, and the principle of protecting the environment and natural resources. We expect support from the big concessionaires. That is, we expect a cooperative relationship with big concessionaires so we can jointly market ourselves locally, to the surrounding countries, and to all of Europe.
The most important thing that I see for a planning priority in Montenegro is the ecology. This is taken into account as a very important value when doing forest management. In Canada, the economy is the first value.
Montenegrins had the opportunity on several occasions to learn about developing the policy document, as well as to be actively involved in drafting it. A number of information and discussion sessions were organized. At 2 round tables in Plevlja and Podgorica in December 2007, where the working version of the document on national policy of forest and forest land management was presented, and at 4 public debates, which were held in Rojai, Kolašin, Bar and Podgorica in January and February 2008. These were part of the public debate on the draft policy, which was adopted by the government of Montenegro on the 27th of December 2007. Based on the quality of the discussions at these events, as well as the suggestions and comments received, it can be concluded that the drafting of the national forest policy has fully met all expectations. The Institute for Strategic Studies and Projections in Podgorica has reviewed the economic aspects, primarily of forestry sector development, and in particular the development of non-timber forest products. We reviewed Montenegro's capacity and potential and concluded that our resources are huge, but these resources have not yet been sufficiently utilized. We think that the policy should include solutions that refer in more detail to forest fires, especially solutions relating to prevention, protection, and related measures, but also ways of utilizing the resources that remain after forest fires. More than 1,000 people took part in the process of developing the national forest policy, and they gave many opinions. 2 preliminary and 4 public debates were organized. The consensus was that the document allows for a balance between economic, ecological, and social needs, and also provides for the sustainability of the forest sector in Montenegro. This policy will represent an important prerequisite for the development of rural areas. It will increase the competitiveness of the timber industry and underline the development of the forestry profession and forestry professionals. In drafting this strategic document, we enjoyed significant support from the FODEMO project, funded by the government of Luxembourg, and the SNV, which in turn is funded by the government of the Netherlands. The National Policy of Forest and Forest Land Management is a document that should represent an official forestry policy statement, which declares a national and global responsibility for the sustainable management of forests as an important natural resource. Enacting the policy may be just the beginning, but it's also a big step ahead in the reform of the Montenegrin forestry sector. Forests for the Future of Montenegro.